I also want to read what is probably a Brazilian counterpart to the Romanian Michel Cartarescu, and I like to think that I could be the modern day post-Southern version, not in the American sense, but in the idea that the South is its own thing. But enough about that. Clarice Lispector and her book The Passion According to G.H. It's an interesting book. It's basically, this is the plot, not spoiling anything by saying it, is a bourgeois woman finds and eats a cockroach and sucks out its juices and then explodes deeply into the fabric of deep time and space and kind of loses her shit and then stops losing her shit and then realizes she just has to keep living life despite this out of body experience that happened to her because she did something really weird. But I was gonna try to read the first page or so out loud. I've realized that solitary reading only becomes enriched if you already understand the rhythm of the writing. And unfortunately, this is translated out of Brazilian. So there's a second level of artistry that has to happen with the people who translate Cartarescu and Lispector. But nonetheless, I'll just read. And also, I must say, um, it's just so dense. It's just ridiculous. But I'll do it just to sort of catch the rhythm in which I need to have understanding of to read. Alright, I'll shut up now. In the beginning of A Passion According to G.H., there's 2 pages with um, a little bit of writing that isn't part of the story. So she writes, "To possible readers, this book is like any other book, but I would be happy if it were only read by people whose souls are already formed, those who know that the approach of whatever it may be happens gradually and painstakingly, even passing through the opposite of what it approaches. They who, only they, will slowly come to understand that this book takes nothing from no one. For me, for example, the character G.H. gave bit by bit a difficult joy, but it is still a joy." Clarice Lispector. A complete life may be one ending in so full identification with the non-self that there is no self to die. A quote by Bernard Berenson. The Passion According to G.H. I am searching, I am searching, I am trying to understand, trying to give what I lived to somebody else, and I don't know whom, but I don't want to keep what I lived. I don't know what to do with what I lived. I'm afraid of that profound disorder. I don't trust what happened to me. Did something happen to me that I, because I didn't know how to live, lived as someone else? That's what I'd like to call disorganization. And I have the confidence to venture on because I would know where to return afterward to the previous organization. I'd rather call it disorganization because I don't want to confirm myself in what I lived. In the confirmation of me, I would lose the world as I had it, and I know I don't have the fortitude for another. If I confirm myself and consider myself truthful, I'd be lost, because I don't know where to inlay my new way of being. If I go ahead with my fragmentary visions, the whole world will have to be transformed in order for me to fit within it. I lost something that was essential to me, and that no longer is. I no longer need it. As if I'd lost a third leg that up till then made it impossible for me to walk, but that turned me into a stable tripod. I lost that third leg, and I went back to being a person I never was. I went back to having something I never had, just two legs. I know I can only walk with two legs, but I feel the useless absence of that third leg, and it scares me. It was the leg that made something findable by myself, and without even having to look for myself. I am disorganized because I lost something I didn't need. In this new cowardice of mine, cowardice is the newest thing to happen to me. It's my greatest adventure. This cowardice of mine is a field so wide that only the great courage leads me to accept it. My new cowardice, in my new cowardice, which is like walking one morning in a foreigner's house. I don't know if I'll have the courage just to go. It's hard to get lost. It's hard that I'll probably quickly figure out some way to find myself. Even if finding myself is once again my vital lie. Until now, finding myself was already having an idea of a person, and fitting myself into it. I'd incarnate myself into its organized person, and didn't even feel the great effort of construction that is living. The idea I had of what a person is came from my third leg, the one that pinned me to the ground. And now, will I be freer? No. I know I'm still not feeling freely. That once again I'm thinking because I have no objective of finding. And for safety's sake, I'd call finding the moment I discover a way out. Why don't I have the courage just to discover a way in? Oh, I don't. Oh, I know I went in. Oh yes. But I got scared. I don't know what that entrance opens onto, and I'd never let myself be carried off unless I knew where to. Yesterday, however, I lost my human setup for hours and hours, and I have the courage. If I had the courage, I'd let myself stay lost. But I'm afraid of newness, and I'm afraid of living wherever I don't understand. I always want to be sure to at least think I understand. I don't know how to give myself over to disorientation. How could I explain that my greatest fear is precisely of being, and yet there is no other way? How can I explain that my greatest fear is living whatever comes? How to explain that I can't stand seeing just because life isn't what I thought, but something else? As if I knew that. As if I knew what? Why is seeing such disorganization? and disappointment. But disappointment with what? If, without even feeling it, I must have hardly been able to stand my barely constructed organization. Maybe disappointment is the fear of no longer belonging to a system. So I could put it like this. He is very happy because he is finally disappointed. What I used to be was no good for me. But it was from that not good that I'd organized the best thing of all, hope. From my own flaw, I had created a future good. I am afraid now that my new way of being doesn't make sense. But why not let myself be carried away by whatever happens? I would have to take the holy risk of chance. And I will substitute fate for probability. But what will the discoveries of childhood have been like in a laboratory where you find whatever you find? So it was only as an adult that I grew scared and created a third leg? But as an adult, can I find the childish courage to get lost? Getting lost means finding things without any idea of what to do with what you're finding. The two legs walking without the third that holds you back. And I want to be held back. I don't know what to do with this terrifying freedom that could destroy me, but I was happy while I was imprisoned. Or was there, and there was, something restless in the sly in my happy jailhouse routine? Or was there, and there was, that throbbing thing I was so used to that I thought that throbbing was being a person? Is that right? That too. That too. I get so scared when I realize I lost my human form for several hours. I don't know if I'll have another form to replace the one I lost. I know I'll need to be careful not to furtively use a new third leg that from me sprouts swiftly as weeds and call it, this protective leg, a truth. But I don't know what form to give what happened to me. And without giving it a form, nothing can exist for me. And if it's really true and nothing existed, maybe nothing happened to me. I can only understand what happens to me, but things only happen that I understand. What do I know of the rest? The rest didn't exist. Maybe nothing ever existed. Maybe all that happened to me was a slow and great disillusion. And this is my struggle against the disintegration, trying now to give it a form. A form shapes the chaos. A form gives constitution to the amorphous substance. The vision of an infinite piece of meat. The vision of an infinite piece of meat is the vision of the mad. But if I cut that meat into pieces and parcel them out over days and over hungers, then it would no longer be perdition and madness. It would once again be humanized life. Humanized life. I humanized life too much. But what do I do now? Should I cling to the whole vision, even if that means having an accomplished and incomprehensible truth? Or do I give a form to the nothing, and that would be my attempt to integrate within me my own disintegration? but I am so little prepared to understand. Before, whenever I tried, my limitations gave me a physical sensation of discomfort. Any beginning of thought immediately banged into my forehead. Early on, I had to recognize without complaint the limits of my small intelligence, and I strayed from the path. I knew I was destined to think little. Reasoning kept me confined inside my own skin. So how was I supposed to inaugurate thinking within me now? And maybe only thought can save me. I am afraid of passion. Since I must save the day for tomorrow, since I must have a form because I don't feel strong enough to stay disorganized, since I inevitably must slice off the infinite monstrous meat and cut it into pieces the size of my mouth and the size of the vision of my eyes, since I'll inevitably succumb to the need for form that comes from my terror of remaining undelimited, then I may at least have the courage to let the shape form by itself like a scab that hardens by itself like the fiery nebula that cools into the earth. And may I have the courage, the great courage to resist the temptation to invent a form. This effort I'm making now to let a meaning surface, any meaning. This effort would be easier if I pretended to write to someone. I'm afraid to begin composing in order to be understood by some imaginary someone. I'm afraid to start to make a meaning with the same tame madness that till yesterday was my healthy way of fitting into a system. I will need the courage to use an unprotected heart and keep talking to the nothing and to the no one, as a child thinks about the nothing, and run the risk of being crushed by chance. I don't understand what I saw, and I don't even know if I saw it, because my eyes can't differentiate themselves from the things they see. Only an unexpected tremor of lines, only an anomaly in the uninterrupted continuity of my civilization made me experience, for an instant, vitalizing death. A fine line that let me brush up against the forbidden fabric of life. It's forbidden to say the name of life, and I almost said it. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't. I almost couldn't untangle myself from its fabric, which would be the destruction of my age within me. Perhaps what happened to me was an understanding. And for me to be true, I have to keep on being able to grasp it, keep on not understanding it. All sudden understanding closely resembles an acute incomprehension. No! All sudden understanding is finally the revelation of an acute incomprehension. Each moment is finding a great. Each moment is finding. Each moment is finding is a getting lost. Maybe what happened to me is an understanding as complete as ignorance. And from it I shall emerge as untouched and innocent as before. No understanding of mine will ever reach that knowledge, since living is the only height within my grasp. I am only on the level of life, except now. Now I know a secret, which I am already forgetting. Ah, I feel that. I am already forgetting. To learn it again, I would have to breed I'd have to, and knowing might be the murder of my human soul. And I don't want that. I don't. Handing myself over to a new ignorance could save me, possibly, since, as I struggle to know, my new ignorance, which is forgetting, became sacred. I am the vestal priestess of a secret. I have forgotten, and I serve the forgotten danger. I found out something I could not understand. My lips were sealed, and all I've got are the incomprehensible fragments of ritual. Yet, for the first time, I feel my forgetting is finally on the level with the world. Ah! And I don't even want anything explained to me, that in order to be explained would have to be removed from itself. Yeah, I don't want anything explained to me. Yeah, that once again needs human validation to be interpreted. Life and death were mine, and I was monstrous. I was courageous, like a sleepwalker who simply goes. During the hours of perdition, I had the courage not to compose or organize, and above all, not to look ahead. I never before had the courage to let myself be guided by the unknown, and towards the unknown, my expectations preconditioned what I could see. They weren't previsions of a vision, they were already the size of my concerns. My expectations closed the world to me until, for several hours, I gave up, and, my God, I got what I didn't want. I didn't wander through a river valley. I had always thought that finding would be fertile and moist as a river valley. I didn't realize it was the great unfinding. To continue being human will be my sacrifice. Be forgetting. To continue being human will be my sacrifice. And that will be forgetting. Yeah. Now I know how to recognize in common faces of a few people that they forgot, and no longer know that they forgot, but they forgot. I saw, I know, I saw because I didn't give my meaning to what I saw. I know I saw because I don't understand. I know I saw because there's no point to what I saw. Listen, I'm going to have to speak because I don't know what to do with having lived. Even worse, I don't know what I saw. What I saw smashes daily life. Sorry for giving you this. I'd much rather have seen something better. Take what I saw. Deliver me from my useless vision and my useless sin. I am so afraid. I'm so afraid that I can only accept that I got lost if I imagined that someone is holding my hand. Holding someone's hand was always my idea of joy. Often, before falling asleep in that small struggle not to lose consciousness and enter the greater world, often, before having the courage to go toward the greatness of sleep, I pretend that someone is holding my hand, and I go toward the enormous absence of form that is sleep, and when even then I can't find the courage, then I dream. Going to sleep so closely resembles the way I now must go toward my freedom. Handing myself over to what I don't understand would be placing myself at the edge of nothing. It will be just going, and like a blind woman lost in a field, that supernatural thing which is life, life that I had tamed to make it familiar, that brave thing that will be handed over to myself, and which is like a grasping of the haunted hand of God. and entering that formless thing that is paradise. A paradise I don't want! While writhing and speaking, I have to pretend that someone is holding my hand. Oh, at least at the beginning. Just at the beginning, as soon as I can't let go, I will go alone. In the meantime, I must hold this hand of yours. Though I can't invent your face and your eyes and your mouth, yet, even amputated, that hand doesn't scare me. Its invention comes from such an idea of love, as if the hand were really attached to a body that I don't see because I can't love enough. I cannot imagine a whole person because I am not a whole person. And how can I imagine a face without knowing what expression I need? As soon as I can release your warm hand, I'll go alone and with horror. The horror will be my responsibility until the metamorphosis is complete and the horror becomes light. Not the light born of a desire for beauty or moralism, as before, without realizing I intended, but the natural light of whatever exists. And it is that natural light that terrorizes me, though I know that the horror though I know that the horror, I am the horror in the face of things. For now I am inventing your presence. Just as one day I don't know how to risk dying alone. Dying is the greatest risk of all. I do not know how to enter death and take the first step into the first absence of me. Just as in this last and so primary hour I shall invent your unknown presence, and with you shall begin to die until I learn all by myself not to exist, and then I shall let you go. For now I cling to you, and your unknown and warm life is my only intimate organization. I who, without your hand, will feel set loose into the enormous vastness I discovered. Into the vastness of truth? Hmm? Is that what it is? Truth never made any sense to me. The truth doesn't make sense. That's why I feared it. And fear it. Helpless. I give you everything, so you can make a joyous thing of it. Will speaking to you scare you and make you lose? I'll lose you, but if I don't speak, I'll be lost. And in losing myself, I'll still lose you. The truth doesn't make sense. The greatness of the world restricts me. What I probably asked for and finally got left me needy as a child wandering the earth alone, so needy that only the love of an entire universe for me could console me and overwhelm me. Only a love that trembled the very egg cell of things with what I am calling love. With that, with what? With what I can really only call, but without knowing its name. I can only call it. Could what I have saw been love? But what is love is blind, is as blind as the sail egg. Is that it? What was it? That horror. Was that love? A love so neutral that no, I still don't want to speak to myself. Speaking now would hasten a meaning like someone swiftly freezing into the paralyzing security of a third leg. Yeah. Or I'm just putting off starting to speak. Is that what I'm doing? Why don't I just say nothing and then simply buy some time? Out of fear? I need courage to venture making something concrete out of my feeling. It's like having a coin, and I don't know which country it belongs to. What coin will this country allow me to spend its money? I shall need courage to do what I am about to do. Speak. Yes, speak. And risk the enormous surprise I shall feel at the poverty of the spoken thing. As soon as it's out of my mouth, I'll have to add, "That's not it, that's not it." But I cannot be afraid of being ridiculous. I've always preferred less to more about and out of fear of the ridiculous. Because there's also the shattering of modesty. I'm putting off having to speak to myself out of fear. Out of fear. And because I don't have a word to say. I don't have a word to say. So why don't I just shut up? But if I don't force out the word, muteness will swallow me forever in waves. Word and form will be the board upon which I float atop the billow of muteness. And if I'm putting off the beginning, so it's also because I don't have a guide. The account of other travelers offer me few facts. Yeah, they offer me a few facts about that voyage. All the information is terribly incomplete. I feel the first freedom seizing me little by little. Since until today I have never felt so little fear of lacking good taste. I wrote billows of muteness, which I would have never said before. I've always respected beauty and its intrinsic moderation. I said billows of muteness. My heart bows humbly, and I accept it. I have finally lost a whole system of good taste. But it's that all I've gained? I must have lived so imprisoned to feel freer now, just because I no longer lack the aesthetics. I still can't tell what I've gained. Slowly, perhaps I'll figure it out. For now, the first timid pleasure I'm having is realizing I lost my fear of ugliness. And that loss is such goodness. It's so sweet. I want to know what else in losing I've gained. Yeah, I don't know yet. Only by reliving myself I shall live. But how shall I live? If I don't have a natural word to say, will I have to make the word as if creating whatever happened to me? I shall create whatever happened to me, only because life cannot be retold. Life is not livable. I shall have to create a top life. And without lying, create, yes, lie, no. Yeah, lie, no. Creating isn't imagination. It's taking the risk of grasping reality. Yeah, understanding is a creation. My only way. I have to make the effort to translate telegraph signals. Yeah, that's what they are. To translate the unknown into language. A language I don't speak. And without even understanding what signals I mean, I shall speak that sleepwalker's language. That would not be a language if I were awake. Until I create the truth of what happened to me. It will be more like scratching than writing. Since I'm attempting a reproduction more than an expression, I need to express myself less and less. Is that something else I lost? No, even when making sculptures. Yeah, even when making sculptures, I was already trying to reproduce, and only with my hands. Will I get lost amidst the muteness of these signs? I will, because I know how I am. I could never see without immediately having to do more than see. Wow. I know I'll be horrified, like a blind person who finally opened their eyes to see. But see what? A mute and incomprehensible triangle. Ha! Could that person consider herself no longer blind just because she could see an incomprehensible triangle? I wonder, if I peer at that darkness with a magnifying glass, will I see more than darkness? The glass doesn't expose the darkness. It only reveals more of it. And if I look at the light with a magnifying glass, will a shock? With a shock. Yeah, with a shock, I will only see more light. I saw, but am as blind as I was before I saw an incomprehensible triangle. Unless I too transform myself into the triangle that will recognize in the incomprehensible triangle my own source and repetition. I'm putting it off. I know that everything I'm saying is just to put it off. To put off the moment when I will have to start to speak, knowing I've got nothing left to say. I'm putting off my silence. Have I done that my entire life? But now, out of disdain for the word, perhaps at last I can begin to speak. The telegraph signals. The word bristling with antennas. The word. The world. The world is bristling with antennas. And I, picking up the signal, I can only make the phonetic transcription. 3,000 years ago I went astray. And what was left were phonetic fragments of me. I am blinder than before. I saw, I did. I saw and was frightened by the brute truth of a world whose greatest horror is that it is so alive that in admitting I'm alive, I'm as alive as it is. And my worst discovery is that I'm alive as it is. I shall have to heighten my consciousness of exterior life until it becomes a crime against my personal life. For my profound morality. My morality was the desire to understand, and since I didn't, I arranged things. This was only yesterday, and now I've discovered that I was always profoundly moral. I only admitted the purpose. For my previous profound morality, having discovered that I'm as crudely alive as that crude light I learned yesterday, or that morality of mine, the hard glory of being alive is the horror. Before I lived in the humanized world, but but did something purely alive collapse the morality that I had? Because a world fully alive has the power of hell.